Hello and welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a really crucial exploration for all class 11th, 12th, and competitive exam aspirants, especially those preparing for NEET. Our mission today, to fully unpack the chapter on structural organization in animals. It's a foundational topic, really. It builds your understanding from the smallest cell right up to complex living systems, and will culminate in a detailed look at the frog.
Namaste, sir. Right, so our journey today will start from the very basics of how animal bodies are structured, and then take a focused, in-depth look at a specific organism, the frog, covering its morphology and anatomy, which, as you said, is always a high-yield area for exams, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a high-yield area, and you're spot on there. Our mission today is to truly unpack this chapter. We'll move from the microscopic world of cells to the complex living systems, and yes, culminate in a comprehensive, exam-oriented deep dive into the frog, Rana tigrina. Consider this your masterclass on understanding animal structures, designed to give you that edge in your exams. So let's begin this fascinating journey. When we observe the incredible variety of organisms around us, from the tiniest bacteria to the largest whales, we see a fundamental difference, a difference in how they carry out essential life functions. Think about basic processes vital for survival: digestion, respiration, reproduction, excretion. In simple unicellular organisms like an amoeba, which is basically just a single cell, all these complex vital functions are performed by that one cell, sort of jack of all trades, managing everything on its own. But as life evolved and organisms became more complex, especially in multicellular animals, we see a remarkable shift. The same basic functions are no longer handled by just one cell. Instead, they are carried out by different groups of cells working in a wonderfully organized and cooperative manner. This, my friend, is the essence of division of labor at the biological level. Think of it like a highly efficient factory where specialized teams handle specific tasks. To give you a clearer picture, imagine a seemingly simple multicellular organism like Hydra. Even this freshwater polyp, which is much less complex than a human, possesses thousands of cells. But not just any cells, thousands of different types of cells, each with a specialized role. Or take the human body, a true marvel of biological engineering, composed of literally billions of cells. Each cell plays its part, but they don't just work in isolation, they work in incredible coordination, forming intricate networks and systems. This precise orchestration of cells, this, seamless cooperation, is what allows for the advanced functions, the sophisticated behaviors, and the immense resilience we observe in higher animals. So the fundamental question arises: how do these individual microscopic cells come together to form such complex and coordinated macroscopic structures?
Okay, so the body assigns specific tasks to specific groups, leading to this division of labor. That definitely sounds incredibly efficient for handling complex functions. But how do these individual cells actually come together to form these organized, specialized groups? What's that immediate next level of organization beyond just a single cell?
Precisely. An excellent question that leads us directly to our first key definition, and you should definitely highlight this in your notes for exams. A tissue. A tissue, in biological terms, is defined as a group of similar cells, along with their non-living intercellular substances that's the material between the cells that collectively perform a specific function. Think of it as a specialized cooperative unit. Cells with similar structure and origin band together to carry out a particular task, like a specialized team in that factory analogy we used. This is a really foundational concept in animal biology. And here's where it truly gets fascinating and perhaps a bit surprising when you consider the sheer diversity of the animal kingdom. Despite the incredible complexity and the vast array of forms found in all complex animals, from the tiniest insect to a colossal blue whale, they are all fundamentally built from only 4 basic types of tissues. Just 4. It's like having 4 master blueprints from which all the intricate structures of the animal body are constructed. These fundamental building blocks are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and neural tissue. Every organ, every gland, every part of a complex animal's body is essentially a unique combination and precise arrangement of these 4 basic tissue types. Now, these basic tissues don't simply exist in isolation or, float around without purpose. They are organized in specific proportions and intricate patterns to form a higher level of organization. An organ. Let's consider a very familiar example: your own heart. This vital organ tirelessly pumps blood throughout your body. But what makes up this powerful pump? Your heart isn't just one type of tissue. It incorporates all 4 types we just discussed. You have epithelial tissue forming the smooth linings of its chambers and blood vessels, ensuring efficient blood flow. Then there's connective tissue, providing essential structural support, holding the heart's components together, forming its fibrous skeleton. Muscular tissues, specifically cardiac muscle, makes up the bulk of the heart and is responsible for its powerful contractions, the actual pumping action. And finally, neural tissue is intricately woven throughout the heart, controlling its rhythmic beats, coordinating the contractions of its chambers, and responding to signals from the brain. This intricate organization, where different tissues combine in a precise functional manner to form an organ, is absolutely essential. It enables much more efficient and better coordinated activities among the millions, even billions of cells that make up that organ. It's really a testament to the marvel of biological engineering, allowing for specialized functions that a single tissue or even a single cell could never accomplish alone.
That makes perfect sense, sir. So if tissues form organs, then when organs work together, that's what forms an organ system, correct? And how does this entire hierarchy, from cells all the way up to these complex organ systems, ultimately contribute to the overall survival and efficiency of the organism?
Correct. You've perfectly grasped the progression. When two or more organs collaborate, performing a common function through their physical or chemical interaction, they collectively form an organ system. Think of the classic examples you're already familiar with from your textbooks, the digestive system, for instance. Organs like the stomach, intestines, liver, and pancreas work in a coordinated sequence to process food, extract nutrients, and eliminate waste. Or the respiratory system, with the lungs, trachea, and bronchi, facilitating the vital exchange of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. The entire progression we've discussed, starting from individual cells specializing, then forming specific tissues, which then combine into complex organs, and finally organs collaborating seamlessly as organ systems. This entire hierarchy demonstrates a profoundly powerful and highly efficient division of labor. Each successive level of organization refines and specializes the work, allowing for greater efficiency and complexity. This synergistic contribution from each level ultimately ensures the survival, optimal functioning, and adaptability of the body as a whole. And as a broader concept for your understanding in biology, we observe a clear evolutionary trend. This increasing complexity of organ systems has emerged over millions of years, leading to the diverse animal life we see today. You'll delve deeper into this evolutionary aspect in Class 12. Now, with this foundational understanding of how animal bodies are structured, let's pivot our focus. Let's look at a specific animal that is a cornerstone of your competitive exams, particularly for NEET. It illustrates these very principles of structural organization: the frog. We'll be concentrating on Rana tigrina, which is the most common species of frog found right here in India, often referred to as the Indian bullfrog. First, let's understand its general characteristics and how it fits into the broader classification of life. This classification itself is a common objective question, so pay close attention. Rana tigrina belongs to the class Amphibia. That name literally means dual life, reflecting its ability to live both on land and in fresh water. It's part of the phylum Chordata, which signifies that at some stage of its life cycle, it possesses a notochord. Its habitat perfectly aligns with its classification. Frogs are quintessential amphibians. They're comfortable in aquatic environments like ponds, streams, swamps, but equally capable of thriving on moist land, especially during rainy seasons.
Sir, I remember learning that frogs are commonly called cold-blooded animals. What does that term mean precisely in an exam context? And what are its direct implications for the frog's biology behavior?
That's an excellent and very important question for conceptual clarity, because cold-blooded is, well, a casual term for a precise scientific concept. In an exam context, you need to use the correct scientific terminology. Frogs do not have a constant body temperature. Their internal body temperature fluctuates directly with the temperature of their surrounding environment. Such animals are scientifically termed poikilotherms, that's Poikilo therms. Sometimes they're called ectotherms. Unlike mammals or birds, which are endotherms and can generate their own internal heat to maintain a stable body temperature. A frog's body temperature will rise if the ambient temperature is hot and fall if it's cold. This lack of internal thermoregulation has profound impacts on their activity levels and, crucially, on their survival strategies. This varying body temperature, coupled with their vulnerability to environmental extremes like scorching heat or freezing cold, has led to some truly fascinating adaptations for survival, and these are frequently tested in your exams. Have you ever observed how frogs seem to just vanish from plain sight? Blending seamlessly into their surroundings, whether it's green grass or brown earth. This isn't magic, it's a brilliant biological strategy. They possess the remarkable ability to change their color to hide effectively from both predators and prey. This protective coloration, where an animal blends into its background, is scientifically known as camouflage, or more specifically, crypsis. It allows them to become almost invisible in their environment. For instance, their dorsal or upper side is typically an olive green with dark, irregular spots. This allows them to merge perfectly with vegetation. In contrast, their ventral or underside is uniformly pale yellow. This makes them harder to spot from below against a bright sky or water surface. Beyond camouflage, there are two other critical adaptations directly linked to their poikilothermic nature, and these often feature in competitive exam questions: estivation, commonly known as summer sleep, and hibernation or winter sleep. You might have noticed that frogs are absent during the peak summer months when temperatures soar, and also during the biting cold of winter. This is because during these periods of extreme environmental stress, intense heat and dryness in summer, or severe cold in winter, they seek refuge. They burrow deep into the mud or soil, finding shelter in these burrows, which provide a more stable and protected environment, shielding them from the harsh external temperatures. Estivation is their ingenious way of surviving the intense heat and dryness of summer. It allows them to conserve moisture and energy when conditions are unfavorable. Hibernation is their strategy to endure the biting cold of winter, drastically slowing down their metabolism. During both these periods, their metabolic rate drops significantly, their activity ceases, and they rely on stored energy reserves. These two terms, estivation and hibernation, and their respective purposes, are very frequently asked in exams, so ensure you understand them clearly.
That's very insightful, sir. The skin and its role in camouflage sounds quite unique. Now that we've covered the basics and the remarkable adaptations, let's move on to their external features. What specific characteristics of the frog's skin should we remember for exams, especially since you mentioned its vital role earlier?
Excellent progression. Let's systematically examine the frog's external features, or its morphology. Imagine you're holding a frog or observing one closely in a lab or in nature. The very first thing you'd notice, and indeed a defining characteristic crucial for its survival, is its skin. The frog's skin is remarkably distinctive. It feels smooth and slippery to the touch, and this tactile quality is due to the constant presence of a thin layer of mucus. This mucus also ensures that the skin is always maintained in a moist condition. Why is this moisture so vital? Well, we'll discuss this soon when we talk about respiration, but it's a key point to remember. Now, here's a unique and exceptionally important physiological point. It often appears as a classic trick question in NEET and other exams. Frogs never drink water. Think about that for a moment. They don't need to find a water source to swallow liquid.
Really, they just absorb it.
Exactly. They absorb all the water they need directly through their highly permeable skin. This is an incredible adaptation. It allows them to hydrate simply by being in a moist environment or in contact with water. It saves them from the energy expenditure and risks associated with actively drinking. And as we discussed earlier, remember its protective coloration. The dorsal side is typically olive green with those dark, irregular spots providing superb camouflage, while the ventral side is uniformly pale yellow. Next, let's consider the overall body division of the frog. Unlike many other vertebrates, the frog's body is quite distinctly divisible into only two main parts, the head and the trunk. What's noticeably absent, and this is a key distinguishing feature often asked in multiple choice questions, is a separate neck and a tail. This compact, neckless body plan, along with its powerful hind limbs, is a specialization that aids its specific mode of movement, primarily leaping and swimming, makes it streamlined and efficient. Now let's zoom in on the features located specifically on the head region. Above the mouth, you'll clearly see a pair of small openings, the nostrils. Their eyes are quite prominent. They are large, bulged, and are covered by a transparent protective structure called a nictitating membrane. This membrane is remarkably crucial. It acts like built-in swimming goggles or a clear eyelid. It protects their eyes while they are submerged in water, allowing them to see clearly underwater without damage, and also helps keep the eyes moist on land. On either side of the eyes, you'll find a distinct circular membranous structure known as the tympanum. This is essentially their external eardrum. It receives sound signals from the environment, enabling them to detect prey, predators, and importantly, the croaks of potential mates. Finally, let's look at the limbs. Frogs possess two pairs: the forelimbs, anterior limbs, and the hind limbs, posterior limbs. Both are absolutely essential for their diverse movements. The forelimbs are shorter and end in 4 digits. In contrast, the hind limbs are significantly larger, much more muscular, and end in 5 digits. This difference in size and musculature is key to their powerful movements, like leaping. Both sets of limbs collectively enable them to perform a variety of activities. Swimming gracefully, walking on land, making powerful leaps, and burrowing into the ground for shelter. Crucially, the hind limbs have webbed digits, meaning the skin stretches between the toes, forming a paddle-like structure, like a flipper.
Ah, okay, so that helps with swimming.
Exactly. This webbing greatly enhances their efficiency in swimming, allowing them to propel themselves powerfully through water.
That's a very detailed description of their external features, sir. One common question is about sexual dimorphism. How can we differentiate between a male and a female frog just by looking at them? Are there clear indicators we should be aware of for practical exams?
Excellent point. And yes, frogs exhibit clear sexual dimorphism, which is incredibly important for identifying their sex, especially in a practical exam setting. Male frogs can be distinguished by two key external features that are completely absent in female frogs. First, male frogs possess sound-producing vocal sacs. These are typically visible as a pair of loose, thin-skinned structures. They often appear as balloon-like pouches under their throat when they croak to attract females during the breeding season. These sacs amplify their calls. Second, and equally important, male frogs have a specialized thickened structure called a copulatory pad, sometimes called a nuptial pad. It's on the first digit of their forelimbs, specifically on the inner side of the thumb-like digit. This pad develops during the breeding season and becomes rough and swollen. Its function is absolutely crucial. It helps the male grip the female firmly during amplexes, that's their mating embrace. It ensures the male stays attached to the female's back while she lays her eggs and he releases sperm. These two distinct features, the vocal sacs and the copulatory pad, are entirely absent in female frogs. This distinction is a very common practical and theoretical exam question, so make sure you remember it well. Now that we've covered the external features in such detail, let's truly dive into the fascinating world of frog anatomy, exploring its internal organ systems. The frog's body cavity is a remarkably efficient container. It accommodates well-developed digestive, circulatory, respiratory, nervous, excretory, and reproductive systems. Understanding each of these in detail, their components and functions, is absolutely paramount for your exams. They represent the fundamental processes of life in a vertebrate.
That's a lot to cover internally, sir. Let's start with the digestive system. What are its main components, and how does digestion happen in a frog? Especially considering you mentioned its carnivorous diet earlier.
Excellent choice. Let's take this step by step for the digestive system, as it's a common area for detailed questions. The alimentary canal in frogs, the tube through which food passes, is quite short. Now, the reason for this relative shortness is crucial and directly linked to their diet. Frogs are carnivores. Their diet consists primarily of readily digestible animal matter, things like insects, worms, small invertebrates. Unlike herbivores, who consume tough plant matter requiring long intestines for cellulose breakdown, animal protein and fat are much easier to break down and absorb. This means the frog's digestive system doesn't need to be as long or complex as that of a herbivore. Its short intestine is a direct adaptation to its carnivorous lifestyle. Let's meticulously trace the path of food through their digestive system. Food first enters through the mouth, then into the spacious buccal cavity. From there, it moves through the pharynx, which leads to the esophagus. The esophagus itself is a remarkably short tubular structure that quickly opens into the stomach. The stomach then continues as the much longer coiled intestine where the bulk of nutrient absorption occurs. Following the intestine is the shorter, wider rectum, which is the final section before elimination. Finally, all undigested waste exits through a common posterior chamber called the cloaca. Now, for the crucial digestive glands that assist this process, secreting enzymes and other substances, the liver is a large reddish-brown gland, typically with 2 or 3 lobes, situated in the upper part of the abdomen. It performs multiple functions, but in digestion, its key role is to secrete bile. Bile is essential for fat digestion. It's stored in a small, greenish sac located just beneath the liver, called the gallbladder, until it's needed in the intestine. The pancreas, another vital digestive gland, is a cream-colored organ located near the junction of the stomach and duodenum. It produces pancreatic juice, which contains a rich assortment of essential digestive enzymes capable of breaking down all major food components: carbs, proteins, and fats. Let's follow the food capture and digestion process. Frogs are ambush predators. Their food, typically insects, is captured by their unique, highly protrusible and sticky bilobed tongue. Once an insect adheres to the tongue, the frog rapidly retracts it, swallowing the prey whole. Digestion primarily begins in the stomach. The walls of the stomach are lined with glands that secrete 2 key components: hydrochloric acid, HCl, which creates a highly acidic environment, essential for killing bacteria and denaturing proteins, and gastric juices, which contain protein-digesting enzymes like pepsin. The muscular churning of the stomach, combined with these secretions, converts the ingested food into a partially digested, semi-liquid acidic mixture called chyme. The chyme then slowly passes from the stomach through a valve into the duodenum. This is the first U-shaped part of the small intestine. Here, a critical step in digestion occurs. The duodenum receives two vital secretions through a common bile duct: bile from the gallbladder and pancreatic juices from the pancreas. The bile plays a crucial role in emulsifying fats, breaking down large fat globules into smaller droplets. This vastly increases the surface area for fat-digesting enzymes. The pancreatic juices, on the other hand, contain a powerful cocktail of enzymes: amylase for carbohydrates, proteases like trypsin for proteins, and lipases for fats. These enzymes work to further break down the complex macromolecules into simpler, absorbable units. The final stages of digestion, where most remaining complex food molecules are broken down, take place in the rest of the intestine. For absorption, the inner wall of the intestine isn't smooth. It's lined with numerous finger-like folds called villi, and these villi themselves are covered with even tinier microscopic projections called microvilli. This incredible folding system dramatically increases the internal surface area of the intestine, optimizing it for efficient absorption of digested food molecules like amino acids, simple sugars, fatty acids into the bloodstream. Finally, the undigested solid waste moves into the rectum, gets compacted, and then passes out of the body through the common cloaca. It's a remarkably efficient system, perfectly adapted to their diet.
That's a very clear and detailed breakdown of digestion, sir. Given that frogs live in two very different environments, land and water, how do they manage to breathe and get oxygen in such diverse habitats? This always seems like a complex area.
Excellent question, and indeed, this is a very important and often tested concept for your exams. It really highlights their true amphibian nature and their incredible adaptability. Frogs employ multiple methods of respiration, meaning they have different ways to obtain oxygen and release carbon dioxide, depending on where they are, in water, on land, or even during dormancy. First, let's consider the respiration in water. When submerged, the frog's skin acts as its primary aquatic respiratory organ. This process is known as cutaneous respiration. The frog's skin, as we discussed, is thin, moist, and richly supplied with blood vessels. Dissolved oxygen from the water simply diffuses directly through their permeable skin into their underlying capillaries. And concurrently, carbon dioxide diffuses out from the blood into the water. It's a very direct and remarkably efficient gas exchange mechanism when they are underwater, especially when inactive. Second, on land, the frog utilizes multiple respiratory organs simultaneously. The buccal cavity, the lining of their mouth and throat, the skin, and their lungs all contribute to gas exchange. However, respiration primarily through the lungs is specifically termed pulmonary respiration. The lungs themselves are a pair of elongated, pink-colored, sac-like structures, relatively simple compared to mammal lungs. They're located in the upper part of the trunk region, in what's analogous to our thorax. Air enters through the nostrils, moves into the buccal cavity where some gas exchange occurs, and from there it's pumped into the lungs. This buccal pumping mechanism helps move air. Now, pay very close attention to this special case for estivation and hibernation. It's a frequently asked conceptual question. During both their summer sleep, estivation, and winter sleep, hibernation, when frogs are inactive, often very deep, their metabolic rate drops drastically. Oxygen needs are minimal. During these prolonged periods of dormancy, gas exchange for survival takes place exclusively through the skin.
Just the skin? Wow.
Yes, just the skin. It alone can efficiently handle the limited oxygen uptake and CO2 release required to sustain them through these extreme conditions. This highlights the incredible versatility and importance of their cutaneous respiration. Moving on to another vital system, circulation. The vascular system of the frog, responsible for transporting blood, is remarkably well developed and is of the closed type. This means blood always flows within a continuous network of vessels, arteries, veins, capillaries, and never directly bathes the tissues in open sinuses. It's characteristic of more evolved circulatory systems. Importantly, alongside the blood vascular system, they also possess a separate yet interconnected lymphatic system. Let's break down its components. The blood vascular system comprises three main elements: the central pumping organ, the heart, the various blood vessels, arteries, and veins, and the blood itself. Then there's the lymphatic system, which consists of lymph, a fluid similar to blood plasma, lymph channels, and lymph nodes, which filter lymph and play a role in immunity. The heart is the powerful muscular pump. It's located in the upper part of the body cavity, protected by a double-layered membrane called the pericardium. Crucially, for your exams, remember the frog heart has three chambers: two relatively thin-walled atria, a right atrium and a left atrium, and one large muscular ventricle.
3 chambers. So 2 atrial, 1 ventricle, that's different from us.
Exactly. Mammalian hearts have 4 chambers. This 3-chambered structure in frogs has implications for the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Let's trace the blood flow. Deoxygenated blood from the body is collected by large veins, vena cavae, and enters a triangular structure called the sinus venosus. This then empties into the right atrium. Oxygenated blood from the lungs and skin returns to the left atrium. Both atria then contract simultaneously, pushing blood into the single ventricle. Because there is only one ventricle, there is some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. This is a key physiological difference from mammals. From the ventricle, blood is then pumped out into a sac-like structure called the conus arteriosus, which further divides to distribute blood into the arterial system. Regarding blood vessels, as in other closed systems, we have arteries, the arterial system, carrying blood away from the heart, and veins, the venous system, collecting deoxygenated blood and waste from the body and returning it to the heart. Now, here are some very special venous connections. These are of high importance for NEET and other competitive exams, so mark these down with extra care. Frogs possess 2 unique portal systems. These are unusual venous pathways where capillaries empty into veins that then branch into another set of capillaries before returning to the heart. The first is the hepatic portal system. This is a special venous connection between the intestine, where nutrients are absorbed, and the liver. It ensures that nutrient-rich blood, after digestion, goes directly to the liver for processing, detoxification, and storage before it enters the general circulation. The second is the renal portal system. This is a distinct venous connection between the lower parts of the body, specifically the hind limbs, and the kidneys. This system ensures that blood from the posterior body passes through the kidneys for filtration before returning to the heart. You absolutely must remember both portal systems and their functions.
Hepatic portal system and renal portal system. Got it. Very important.
Yes, very. Finally, let's look at blood composition. Frog blood, like ours, has 2 main components: plasma, the yellowish fluid matrix, and various blood cells suspended within it. The blood cells include RBCs, red blood cells or erythrocytes. These are notable because, unlike mammalian RBCs, they are nucleated. They keep their nucleus and contain hemoglobin for oxygen transport. You also have WBCs, white blood cells or leukocytes, crucial for immunity, and platelets involved in blood clotting. As for lymph, circulating in the lymphatic system, it's similar to blood plasma but lacks certain large proteins and, crucially, lacks RBCs, hence its clear appearance. The overall function of this intricate circulatory system is clear. Blood carries essential nutrients, gases, hormones, water, while also collecting waste products. This efficient circulation is achieved by the powerful pumping action of the muscular heart.
The circulatory system, especially with those unique portal systems, quite complex, sir. So how does the frog manage to eliminate metabolic waste, particularly nitrogenous waste, given its varied lifestyle?
Another vital system for the frog's survival and internal balance. The elimination of metabolic wastes, especially the toxic nitrogenous byproducts from protein metabolism, is carried out by a very well-developed excretory system. This system filters waste products from the blood and maintains the body's fluid and electrolyte balance. The primary organs are a pair of kidneys, tubes called ureters, the cloaca, and a urinary bladder. The kidneys are the main filtration units. They are compact, dark red, bean-like structures, situated posteriorly in the body cavity on either side of the vertebral column. Each kidney is composed of several thousands of microscopic structural and functional units called uriniferous tubules or nephrons. These do the actual filtering. Now, let's look at the ureters, the ducts transporting urine from the kidneys. There's an important distinction here between males and females, often asked in exams. In male frogs, 2 ureters emerge from the kidneys, but they serve a dual purpose. They act as a urinogenital duct.
Urinogenital, meaning urine and sperm.
Exactly. They transport both urine from the kidneys and sperms from the testes. These ducts open directly into the cloaca. However, in female frogs, the ureters carry only urine, and they open separately into the cloaca, distinct from the oviducts, which carry eggs. This separation is a key anatomical difference. Additionally, a thin-walled, distensible urinary bladder is present. It's located ventral to the rectum, and it also opens into the cloaca. It serves as a temporary storage for urine. Finally, a crucial point about the type of excretion. The frog primarily excretes urea as its nitrogenous waste product. Therefore, it is classified as a ureotelic animal.
Ureotelic. Okay, so that means it excretes urea, unlike, say, fish, which excrete ammonia.
Precisely. This term, ureotelic, is very important. It distinguishes them from ammonotelic animals, like fish, and uricotelic animals, like birds and reptiles, excreting uric acid. Urea is less toxic than ammonia and requires less water for excretion, making it suitable for an amphibian balancing life on land and water. The process is efficient. Blood carries waste to the kidneys, nephrons filter it, forming urine, which goes via ureters to the bladder and then out through the cloaca. Now let's explore how the frog perceives its environment, responds to stimuli, and maintains its internal balance. The system for control and coordination is highly evolved. This vital function is achieved through two main communicating systems: the nervous system for rapid electrical communication and various endocrine glands for slower chemical communication via hormones. Let's first talk about chemical coordination. This is primarily achieved by hormones, which are potent chemical messengers secreted directly into the bloodstream by endocrine glands. For your exams, it's vital to memorize this list of prominent endocrine glands in a frog: pituitary, thyroid, crucial for metamorphosis, parathyroid, thymus, pineal body, pancreatic islets, regulating blood sugar, adrenals, stress response, and the gonads, testis ovaries. Each secretes specific hormones regulating growth, metabolism, reproduction, etc., maintaining homeostasis. Now, the nervous system organization, it's logically divided into three main parts. First, the central nervous system, CNS, the command center, comprising the brain and spinal cord. Second, the peripheral nervous system, PNS, all nerves extending from the CNS acting as communication lines. This includes cranial nerves, 10 pairs from the brain, and spinal nerves from the spinal cord. Third, the autonomic nervous system, ANS, regulates involuntary functions like heart rate, digestion. It's further divided into sympathetic, fight or flight, and parasympathetic, rest and digest systems. Let's break down the brain structure in more detail. It's enclosed within a bony structure called the brain box or cranium. The frog's brain is divided into three primary regions: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The forebrain is the most anterior part. It includes the olfactory lobes for smell, paired cerebral hemispheres, higher functions, learning, and an unpaired diencephalon, sensory relay, endocrine regulation. Moving back, the midbrain is characterized by a prominent pair of optic lobes, largely involved in processing visual information. Finally, the hindbrain consists of the cerebellum, coordination, balance, motor skills crucial for leaping, swimming, and the medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata controls vital involuntary functions like respiration and heart rate. It passes out through an opening called the foramen magnum and continues into the spinal cord, which is enclosed within the vertebral column. This entire network ensures rapid, precise control over the frog's body.
Given such a developed nervous and endocrine system, how do frogs actually perceive their surroundings? What are their main sense organs that allow them to interact with the environment and survive? How are they organized?
That's a logical next step. Understanding their sensory perception is absolutely key. Frogs possess different types of sense organs to detect various stimuli. For touch, they have specialized sensory papillae on their skin. For taste buds in their mouth and on their tongue. Their sense of smell uses the nasal epithelium within their nostrils. For vision, they have well-developed eyes. And for hearing, the tympanum transmits vibrations to their internal ears. Now, in terms of complexity, the eyes and the internal ears are particularly well-organized, complex structures. The rest, sensory papillae, taste buds, nasal epithelium, are primarily cellular aggregations around nerve endings. Simpler, but effective. Let's look closer at the eyes, a pair of spherical structures in the orbit eye socket of the skull. Importantly for exams, these are simple eyes.
Simple eyes, meaning just one lens, like a camera.
Exactly. Unlike the compound eyes of insects with many units, frog eyes are adapted for both aquatic and terrestrial vision, aided by that nictitating membrane. As for the ears, an external ear, like a pinna, is absent. Only the tympanum is seen externally. Despite this, the ear serves a dual function. It's an organ of hearing and also vital for balancing equilibrium, helping maintain posture and orientation, critical for movement. Finally, let's look at the reproductive systems, well organized and distinct in males and females. Crucial for your exams. Let's start with the male reproductive organs, primarily a pair of yellowish ovoid testes. They produce sperm. These testes are found adhered to the upper part of the kidneys by a fold of peritoneum called the mesorchium. From each testes, about 10 to 12 small ducts called vasa efferentia arise. These enter the kidneys and open into a structure called Bitter's canal, remember that name. Finally, Bitter's canal communicates with the urinogenital duct, which carries urine too, remember, that comes out of the kidneys and opens into the cloaca. The cloaca serves as that common passageway for fecal matter, urine, and sperms to the exterior. Now for the female reproductive organs, primarily a pair of large lobed ovaries situated near the kidneys. However, and this is a key distinction, there is no functional connection between the ovaries and the kidneys in females. The systems are separate. From the ovaries, where ova's eggs are produced, a pair of long, coiled oviducts arises. These collect and transport the eggs. They swell to form a uterus for temporary storage and then open separately into the cloaca, distinct from the ureters. Let's detail the fascinating reproduction process. A mature female can lay a remarkably large number of ova, typically 2,500 to 3,000 at a time.
Wow, that many. Why so many?
It's an adaptation to increase survival chances. Fertilization is external, and the larvae are vulnerable. So more eggs mean a better chance some will survive. Speaking of which, fertilization is emphatically external and takes place exclusively in water. During breeding, the male clasps the female in amplexus using his copulatory pads. As she lays eggs in the water, he releases sperm over them. Fertilization happens externally.
External fertilization. Okay, another key point.
Absolutely. Development involves a free-swimming larval stage, the tadpole. It's entirely aquatic, breathes through gills, looks very different from the adult. The tadpole then undergoes a significant transformation called metamorphosis to become the adult frog. During metamorphosis, it loses gills and tail, develops lungs, grows limbs, and its digestive system adapts for carnivory, a fundamental change. This life cycle is a common topic. To wrap up our deep dive, let's briefly touch upon the ecological and economic importance of frogs. This sometimes appears in general knowledge or applied biology questions. First, frogs are highly beneficial for mankind because they are voracious consumers of insects. They help control agricultural pests naturally. Second, they play a crucial role in maintaining ecological balance. They are an important link in food chains and food webs.
They eat insects, and bigger things eat them.
Exactly. They occupy a middle trophic level, vital for energy flow and ecosystem stability. Removing them would have significant ripple effects. And finally, on a more direct note, in some countries, the muscular hind legs of frogs are consumed as food by humans, highlighting their economic importance, though regulated. All right, so let's quickly summarize the absolute key points from our deep dive into structural organization focusing on the frog. We covered the division of labor, tracing the hierarchy, cells to tissues, organs, organ systems, defined a tissue-similar cell's specific function, highlighted the 4 basic types: epithelial, connective, muscular, neural. We explored Rana tigrina's unique adaptations. Its smooth, moist, water-absorbing skin, remember they don't drink, noted sexual dimorphism, male vocal sacs, and copulatory pads. We break down the digestive system, short canal for carnivory, roles of liver, pancreas, chyme formation, absorption via villi, differentiated cutaneous, water dormancy, and pulmonary land respiration, detailed the closed circulatory system, 3-chambered heart, mixing of blood, crucial hepatic and renal portal systems, examined the excretory system, kidneys, nephrons, ureotelic nature, urea excretion, key difference in male urinoidogenital duct versus female ureters opening into the cloaca, covered the evolved nervous system, CNS, brain spinal cord, PNS nerves, ANS, sympathetic, parasympathetic, detailed brain regions, forebrain, olfactory, cerebral encephalon, midbrain, optic lobes, hindbrain, cerebellum medulla, discussed sense organs, touch, taste, smell, simple eyes, internal ears, hearing balance, dissected reproductive systems, male testes, vasa efferentia, Bitter's canal, urinogenital duct, female, ovaries, oviducts, separate openings, emphasized external fertilization in water and metamorphosis from tadpole to adult, and finally, their ecological importance, pest control, food webs, and economic use.
That was incredibly clear and comprehensive, sir. It's much easier to visualize and remember these complex details when broken down this way, especially with the exam focus and the specific points. Thank you.
My pleasure. Remember, understanding the why and how behind these structures is what truly solidifies your knowledge, beyond just memorizing. Now, for your immediate next steps, please revise this entire chapter thoroughly again. Maybe focus on drawing and labeling diagrams. Digestive and urinogenital systems are often asked. Then, practice past year questions, PYQs, based on this topic. The details we covered today are often the precise basis of those questions. And remember, if any doubts arise as you review your textbooks or practice problems, please don't hesitate to reach out. Keep up the hard work, stay curious, and keep exploring the amazing world of biology. You're doing great.